And this is Luke chapter 8, verse 40. And we're just going to read to verse 42. Remember, Jesus had gone across the Sea of Galilee in a boat. There had been a terrible storm, which Jesus calmed. And then he came to the Gerasenes and he cast out the demons out of that madman, that wild man. And the pigs went into the sea, and now Jesus is returning. And as Jesus returned, the people welcomed him, for they had been waiting for him. And there came a man named Jairus, and he was an official of the synagogue, and he fell at Jesus' feet and began to implore him to come to his house, for he had an only daughter, about 12 years old, and she was dying. But as he went, the crowds were pressing against him. I just want to spend a little bit of time on this. The people, it says here, Jesus returned and the people had been waiting for him. Perhaps it was they had seen that Jesus went on the boat. He said, "Let's go to the other side of Galilee." And they had gone, and then this terrible storm, this almost supernatural storm comes down. And as they look, perhaps there would have been James and John's father, Zebedee, would have been looked at and think, "Well, I'm glad I'm not out there." And then when he heard that James and John had gone out there with Jesus, he would have been anxious, thinking, how are they going to survive? James and John in the boat wondered how they would survive when they were actually in the storm. And there had been no sign of Jesus or of the boats. But in a couple of days, perhaps somebody saw it, looked out from Capernaum, if it was Capernaum, looked out and saw, oh, there's boats over there. And I think it's James and John's boats. They've survived. Perhaps they got to the other side before the storm comes. We don't know. And they come and they're waiting for Jesus as he comes. And it says there was an official of the synagogue. Now, this was the time when people had started getting very kind of disturbed about Jesus. And they would be people who were becoming followers of Jesus, they would start putting them out of the synagogues. And this was a man who was a synagogue leader, one of the elders of the town. But his own daughter, it says here, was dying. And perhaps he had been waiting and thinking, well, she'll turn the corner with her fever or whatever it was. It'll happen soon and she'll be all right. She'll be all right. I'll just leave it. Let's leave it a couple of days. Let's leave it. And eventually he thinks, well, the only answer I've got is to come to Jesus. And then he finds Jesus has gone across the sea. In fact, there's been a terrible storm. And he might have thought, well, I've missed the boat, literally. I'll never see Jesus again. And I've seen him heal people who are worse than my daughter. But when he hears that Jesus is coming back, he forgets his standing in society. He forgets his standing in the local community. And he thinks, I'm going to do everything I can to bring Jesus into my home because I know he can bring deliverance. So it says here that he understands who Jesus is. And it says that he fell at the feet of Jesus. And he began to implore him to come to his house. He said, come to my house. He was at the feet of Jesus. He was kneeling. And he was at his feet saying, Jesus, I need you to come to my house. My daughter's dying. Come and do something. And it's as if he had thrown away that mantle, that thing that had held him back of religiosity or of standing in the community. He said, I don't care who sees. I'm going to do everything I can to get hold of Jesus so that you'll come into my house and bring deliverance to my daughter. That's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to throw myself at his feet, even if it's in front of everybody. I'm going to do everything that it takes to get Jesus into my home. What an example to each one of us, that we too should be those people who will do everything to get Jesus into our home, into our lives.